welcome to this session. Today we'll be talking about CSS Full Course for beginners. Okay, we're going to talk about colors. We're going to talk about the box model. We're going to talk about fonts and how to style our website. So, if you can recall, if you are in our previous class, learned HTML. Okay, we learned how to write HTML tags, right? We talked about the opening tags and closing tag. Okay, we talked about several tags, right? And um, the we talked about tags like the div. We talked about section. We talked about bold, underline. We talked about formatting as well. Okay, and how to insert images. How to insert videos and audios, and we gave an element. Okay, I want to believe that school have done elements. Okay, so let's dive into CSS, right? So guys, what exactly is CSS, right? We write CSS, code. Okay, so remember as we did introduction to CSS, and we said that CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. Okay, so CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. It's basically what you use to style your website. So if you can recall, we say that CSS is like say for instance, you build a house, right? Build a house, and after you're done, that house is not going to be beautiful painted, right? So after you paint it, you give it some when it's going to be it's going to look nice, right? So CSS you know is what helps us to beautify websites and applications. Are we together? So please don't forget that CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. And in today's class we are into how we can actually write CSS codes. Okay, so I think I want you to realize that CSS is not hard. Okay, CSS is not right. CSS is very very simple. And share my screen, right? Go ahead and share my screen and show us how to write CSS code. Okay, so guys, if you're following me very well, please, I want you to give thumbs up. I want you to put some comments, write some comments. Leave the comments. You know, if you can hear me very well, let me know if I am audible. I'm not audible, please give me a thumbs up. Say hi, right? Let me know if you can actually hear me. Okay, so so I believe you can see my screen. Okay, so let's dive in, right? So these are what we talk about in our HTML class, right? So how do we beautify what we have here? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a file. Okay, so I'm going to call this file styles.css. Okay, so CSS extensions ends with .css, just like you have .html here. Okay, this is an HTML file. Okay, once you open this, you're going to open the browser, right? So you also have .css. Okay, you also have .css, and you also have a CSS file which ends with .css. Okay, so this is Are we together? So HTML and CSS. But for you to be able to use this CSS, you have to link it, right? HTML. Are we together? You have to link it in your HTML, right? So guys, we have our we have our styles of CSS, right? And one thing we want to actually learn, right, is column. I'm looking at it right now. So let's believe we understand what CSS is, right? Believe we all we can explain CSS very, very well, right? If someone asks us, okay. So guys, let's link this. Um roughly- um different ways you can write CSS, okay? There are different ways you can write CSS, right? So we have, right, guys, please follow me very well. We have internal CSS, we have external CSS, right? And we also have inline. Are we together? So, what is internal CSS? Okay, so remember we said that CSS is used for styling. CSS is used for styling. So when we say internal, it means that it's inside your HTML. The style tag. Okay, using the style tag. Are we together? So um, let um we have we're going to have um if we say style, right, and we can come here and we can target p tag, right? We can target a p tag, and then we can say color, right? Let's say color. Let's give it blue. So what this means is that our p tag to have um color, right? So let us run this and see. That's our p tag, all our p tag, right? As um blue column, right? So let us also do this for our, right? So H1, right? Right. So you can say, can we say background color, right? So background color, right, of um, black, and then we give it color of white. Okay, so that doesn't too nice, but yes, you now see that this is our H1, right, and this is H3, right. So it has background color of black, right. All of them has background color of black, and the text is white, right. So guys, I want you to look at the code very well, right? So this is H1, right? So and then, so what we have here is called internal styling. Okay, please, I want to get that very right. Okay, this is called internal styling. Okay, so this is called internal CSS. Take note of this, right? Take note of this. Okay, so and another way we can still do this, right? Instead of this internal, right, is what we call inline styling. Is what we call inline styling, right? So, um, how is styling done? Okay, so we are going to you know, inline CSS. Okay, exactly. Dots inline, you know, um, your styling side and HTML tag. Okay, when you write, right, so now have this, and then you say colors, and then you have red, right. So let's remove this. This is also still going to give us styling, right. So it means that we are styling this h1, you know, to have color of um red. Okay, and got a browser, right. We see this to have, you know, you can hear me. If I'm audible, please give me like, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. If you're audible, let me know if you're following me very well. So, let's continue. Let's continue. Okay. So, um, is inline styling. Okay. This is inline styling, right? And another way we can style our CSS, right, is what we call external style. We call external styling, right? All together. So, how does external styling work? So earlier, and so basically, external CSS is when you now create, you know, CSS file, and then you style, you know, whatever you want to style there inside that file. Okay, so remember these ones we were, you know, remember when we, you know, right, we wrote styles here, right, and then we style it, and then this one too, you know, we style it, right. So you can as well, you know, style, you know, your HTML as, you know, anyhow, you know, you like, right, provided it's and so blue color, color to be, this is called inline CSS. Okay, that's inline CSS. And let's also do external CSS. Okay, so remember, as I said, is when you know, or it's your CSS, right? So instead of just mixing your CSS with your with your um with your HTML, okay, you separate it into a separate file, and then you style it then. So guys, um the same thing, right? So if we say um H1, right, and then we say color to be red, right? Remember I said that before you can use this CSS here, before you can link, okay, before you can, then so our background color, make it blue, and then we are going to have our color to be white, okay. So um if you notice this work, okay, it's not working, right? We've styled it, right? We've given it H1, given it p tag, right, and it's not working. So the reason why it's not working is because we have not linked it, okay. We have not linked it to uh HTML, okay. We've not linked HTML. So um to do that, right, we have to come to so that in our last class, right, I want us to um go up meta tags, okay, look up meta tags and um see what we use meta tag to do, okay. So this is our CSS, okay. So whatever, if this was named my styling.css, have, let's say my styling.css, whatever name, okay, we are going to reference it here, okay. So I named, this file styles.css, and that's what I'm referencing here, styles.css, okay. So um CSS file here will now be recognized by our HTML. So it means that when our site loads, it's as well going to load the styling that is associated with the CSS. Okay, it's going to load the styling that's associated with the CSS. So guys, let's see if that works. Does that work? What was the styling? So we say that our H1 should have color of red. Okay, so these are H1s, that's the color of red. And then we said that our Peter should have background color of blue and color of white. Okay, so that works. Okay, so this is called external styling. Okay, this is called external styling. And external styling, index styling. Okay? External styling is a recommended styling. Are we together? So please, if you wanted to give me a thumbs up, let me know if I'm audible. Okay? Let me know if I'm audible. And let me know if you're followed up to these points. Right? Let me know if you're followed up to these points. Is there anything that's confusing you? Is there what you don't understand? So I think I'll give this time for questions. Okay? I'll give this time. So also, right? So let's proceed, right? Let's proceed. If you don't have any question, let us proceed. Okay. Okay. So let's proceed. Let's proceed. So guys, right? So the selectors in CSS. Okay. So we call selectors in CSS, and it is a very very important thing to know and understand. Okay. That's what we call selectors in CSS, right? So what exactly are selectors? Okay. So selectors are used to find or select a particular HTML that you want to style. Okay. For example, is a tag. Okay. This is an HTML tag. Okay. And what did we do? We simply just grab, the HTML tag, right? The HTML tag, grab the HTML tag, right? And then we use it to apply the styling. And then the styling only targeted, that particular tag. Okay. So this is, referred to as the element selector or the type selector. Okay. Elements or the type selector, right? So we also have another type of selector, right, which is the class selector, and also we have the ID selector, right? So um what we are saying is, if I want to write, I can either apply a class, right, and I will say um para p, let me call it the p class, right? So if I call it p graph and p class, right, and I come here, oh my god, and I come here, and then what do I have to? I have to say, dot, p class, and then I can, I can, um, I can actually, style it the way I want to style. So what you want to learn, another thing you want to learn is, the box model. Okay, so here I can apply a margin, right? I can say margin left, right? Can say margin left, right? And I'm going to give it, say 40 pixel. Okay, sorry, catalog, right? So imagine we have this. If you look at the browser, you see that in this particular paragraph, actually, let me change what we have here, right? Let me change what we have here. This is a paragraph tag that has padding, that has margin, that has margin. Okay, so if you look at the, right, this has margin altogether. This has margin. Okay, this has margin. And what exactly is margin? So I want us to look at this HTML. So HTML um, model. I want to show all. Okay, I think we may understand better if we visualize. Okay, if we may understand better. So let's look at a picture. Let's picture model. Uh, I will say CSS box model, CSS box model. Okay. Okay, so um, let's go to images. And so, guys, one thing about you know okay, guys, can you hear me now? Please confirm if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Am I audible? Can you hear me? Can we continue? So please, guys, if you can hear me, please let me know. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Should I continue? Do you have any questions so far? Okay, so let's just continue. Okay, so if you have any question, please drop it on the chat. Okay, so let's continue. Let's continue. So, guys, so we talked about external CSS, and we were about to explain the CSS box model. So I opened up a picture online, and I want to explain the CSS box model. Okay, so this should give you a clear picture of how the CSS box model work. Okay, so this is the content, right? This is the content. So the spacing, right, just after the contents, right, or should I say between the spacing between the outside container, right, um in the content, right, is the padding. Okay, let me take that again. So you have the contents just like what you have here on the picture, right? It's like what you have here on the picture, right? And then the spacing that just after the contents, right, before the okay, is the padding, and then the spacing after the border, right, is the margin. So what does this mean, right? So it looks like something like this. Okay, this is the contents. The inner spacing is the padding, and then you have the border, right, and then you have the margin. So let's illustrate that with code. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a div, right? I'm going to have a div here. I'm going to have a div, and then I'm going to call it CSS box model exercise. Okay, so inside here I am going to have a class. So guys, sorry, I mentioned I think I stepped out halfway, right? So I mentioned that this is the class selector. So we also have something that we call the ID selector. Okay, and ID selector is simply when you have an ID here, right? So you simply say ID, right, is equals, and then you give it let's say P, let's just call this P ID. And then when you now want to style this particular elements, right? Now you will not do dot PID, okay? You will not do dot PID, so you have to do sorry, I think I will just have to use that, right? You have to say hashtag, you have to use hashtag PID, and then you can say, you can now, style it whatever you want to style, right? And now let's look that up and see, what we style, color blue, PID. Okay, what class are PID? And so this is PID, it's paragraph, have bullet, yeah, and it is blue. Okay, so this is it. Though not visible, but let's so you can change the background color, right, to white, right, so that we see what's within. So this is, let me just change it to what color, green. Okay, so this, right, we actually start this with what we call the ID selector. Okay, so ID selector is when you add ID, right, the attribute ID. Okay, see, attributes. So this can be anything. You can call this, any name, right? You can call this any name. Okay, you can call it, whatever, right? um your um preferred name. Okay, but the standard is that, it must be descriptive, right? It must reflect what you want to do. Okay, so it must reflect what you want to do, right? So um please, I hope you understand the difference between class ID and the sorry, the class selector and the ID selector. Please, do you have any question? Is there any question so far? Do you have any questions so far? So, guys, if there is no question, let's continue. Okay, let's continue. All right. Okay, so um let's continue, right? Let's continue. Okay, so if there's no question, let's continue. Um that was class and ID selector, right? Class and ID selector. And um I believe you can all see my screen. Okay, so that was class and ID selector, and um, we're about experimenting the box model. Okay, the CSS box model. Okay, so I use class to style this, right? So I'm just going to come here, right? So that was a class selector, right? So I will just say dot, right? And then the name of the class. Okay, so this is the class name, right? This is the class name, this is the class attributes, right? And this is the class name, okay? So box model, and then what I'm going to do, I am going to give it a width of, let us say, 400 pixel, right? So let's see how that looks. Um, no. So that's whites, right? And background color black. Um, so okay. This is actually going to be the top, down. Um, okay. So let's give it. This was width. Let's give it height. Um, let's say height of 400 pixel as well. Okay. So we have this. So if we say, can we say um, text align? If we say center, um, so justify content um, center, right? Okay, that has to be flexed actually. Right, so we have to flex that. Um, we have to flex that. So I think I am going to. So let's try align item center. I think display flex. Okay, so let's say display flex. Okay, so now guys, what did I do? So I added to this particular class, right? This is a div. I give it height and width, right? And then I gave it color, I gave it background color of black, right? And then this, styling, right? So that's actually what makes it, flexible. It makes the content flexible. Okay. So um, um, what we can do here, right, to explain padding and margin. Okay. To explain padding and margin, let's us border and border of 5, and then we have solid, and let us say red. Okay, red. So now what this does, right, is actually putting a border on our div. Okay, so we can actually make this bigger, say 20 pixel, because we want to explain. So if we say padding, right? Padding of 40 pixel, right? Now, and then we say, okay, so now let me remove this, right? Let me remove this. You see that we have our text here, right? Very close to the border. Okay, so the border is red, right? And now, guys, please, I want to confirm, am I audible? Are you following me? Are you following me? Please confirm if you are following me. Okay, guys, so a div is a division, right? A div is a division, right? So just think of, in a house, right? You can divide into several rooms. Okay, so div is just a tag, right? Div, div is a tag, an HTML tag that is used. Div stands for division. It's just basically used for dividing, the web page into several, section, right? Just div stands for division. So think of it like you are dividing, it's to different segments. Okay. Is there any other question? Is there any other question? Is there any other question? Any other question? Any other question? Okay, so let's continue. If there is no other question, right? So so let's continue, right? Um, where did we stop? Where did we stop? So this is So you see that the text is very close to the border. The border is what we have read here. This is the contents, right? This is the content, right? And then this is the border, right? So if we add padding, right? We add padding, right, of 40 pixel, right, guys? You see what padding does? Padding is the inner, spacing, the inner spacing between the content and the border, right? But if we now use margin, right? We now say margin of 60 pixel, right? Margin of 60 pixel. Then you see what margin does. Margin shifts, is a space between the outmost, contents, right? The outmost contents, right? Of the page, right? So this this is the inner content and this is the outmost. So this is like the, outside, the what do you call it, the environments, right? The surroundings, right? Whereas this is the house, right? This is the house, this is the box. Okay, so margin, right, is just the outmost space here. So this is margin, right? And then this is padding. Okay, this is padding. Padding is from here, right? From where you have, you know the starting point of the red to this here. Okay, the same thing with here, right? And then margin is just outside here to this red. Okay, so guys, this is very, very important. Okay, margin and padding, I hope we understand up to this point. So I think I'm going to hold on for now and then entertain questions. Is there any question? Please send your questions. I want to answer questions now. Do you understand the box model, the CSS box model? Do you understand? Now, what is the width, right? What is width? What is height? Color, right? Padding, right? Do you understand what padding is? Do you understand what margin is? If you don't, let me tell me. I can go over it again. Okay, so margin left is the margin from the left, right? So if you want to apply margin left, if you notice our this div actually shifts, right? It shifts left, top, right and bottom, right, by 60 pixel. Okay, but if you want it to shift only from this side, you can say padding left, right? If you say padding left, you see it's only shifting, the left, right? It didn't shift from the top, right? So um if you say only margin, then it means that it's going to apply to both top, bottom, left, and right. Are we together? Top, bottom, left, and right. So guys, that is that, and I want to give this time for questions. Do you understand up to this point? Let me know if you have questions. Let me know if you have questions. So question guys. Okay, guys, I don't know questions. You don't have questions. Okay, so let's continue. Let's continue, right? Um, so also, guys, you can change the fonts, on the web page. So if you say font size, right, and you um say 32, okay. So and then you look at this, right? See that the font has actually increased. Okay, font has actually increased. So that's how you can increase font size. Okay, so these are all different stylings, right? That you can apply. You can use to style your elements. Are we together? So is there any question? And then as well, um you can choose a fonts family. So fonts family, right? Font family. So we have the serif and the sans serif. So as a software developer, right, or as a creative, right, you need to know the difference between these fonts. Okay, the serif and the sans serif. Okay, so what's the difference? Okay, so the sans serif, right, they have um they have smooth, edges, right? So sunset has smooth edges. So um, you see, so these are actually very smooth. But if you want to choose, from the serif family, right? You want to choose from the serif family, then let's say for example, let's choose Times New Roman, right? And then you see they don't have sharp edges. Sorry, they have sharp edges. They don't have smooth edges. So you see the edges are very sharp, right? So this is an example of this serif font type. Okay, serif font type. Okay, while the sans serif are smooth, right? They're very smooth, right? And they're not sharp. Okay, so all of them convey different meaning. Most times when um, when you are interpreting that by design. Okay, so guys, I don't know if that's a lot for today. For today's session, um, is there anything you don't understand? Right? Is there anything you don't understand um, from what you have learned so far? From what you have learned so far, is there anything you don't understand? So, can you style? Can you perform this styling um, with CSS? Right? Do you understand inline styling? Do you understand um, external styling or internal styling? Which one is the recommended? Okay, so guys, let's do a little recap about what we have learned today. Okay, so about inline CSS, right, which is basically, for example, you just come here, right, and then you say styles, right, style, sorry, style, and then you start, styling, right, um, you give it some style, whatever you want to style, right, and that is for um, inline styling, right? But we also have internal styling, which is, you can come here and you write um, style, sorry, style, and then you start writing your styles here. Okay, and then another method, which is the most recommended, or the recommended one, right, is separation of concern, which means, right, which is the external CSS, which you have to write your CSS all in one file. You see, we did not bring our CSS here. We didn't start any CSS here. We took everything to an external file, and then what did we do? What did we do? Right, reference it. Right, after we were done styling, we came to a CS HTML and reference it. Right, so reference it here. Right, and then it's works. Okay, so guys, I want to know if there's any question so far. So yes, that's for inline CSS, right? That's for inline CSS, and so that's for external CSS, right? And what else did we learn? We learned about selectors, right? The elements or the tag select, and we have the class selector, right? And then we have the ID selector. Okay, so we also have the what's the name? What's the name? Um, this what's the name? This query or selector. So what basically does? What's the name? Let me just skip my head right now, but I'm going to remember it. In think after this class should come to my head. So this right actually targets all all the CSS, all the HTML elements. Okay, it targets all of them, right? So, but that's another one. That's another one, and the ones we mostly use is the class styling, right? And ID, sorry, the class selector and the ID selector, and as well the tag selector. That's the one you mostly use. Okay, so um we also learn about the box model. Okay, we learn about margin and padding. Okay, which is very, very important. Okay, margin and padding, which is very, very important. Okay, and we learn about you know borders, right? How you can add borders, okay, to your elements, right? And then we also learn about um, font type, okay, and font size, okay. We learned about the serif and the sans serif, okay. So let me check, is there, are there questions, are there questions? Okay, I was style the background. So let me go over it again. So for example, now I have this div. Okay, I have a div here, right? And I want to style this background, right? I want to style, let me see, the background of this div. Okay, let me say using CSS, right? So one thing I can do is I can either make this an ID, right? Can make this an ID, or I will make it a class. Okay, so I'll call this um let me just call this div. Let me just call this background div, whatever. But um I'm running out of name right now, guys. So maybe you can help me with a suitable name right now. Okay. So what I can do is I'll now come here and then, right, to set the background, I will say background color. Okay. Background is background color, and then I give it, let me say, green, guys. So this is how you style, you know, you give, the style, you add background um color, to an element. So I can say width of 300 pixel, then, right? So if we come here, um you see, it has this background. So what I can do is I can change the color to white, right? And then we have, so also another thing I can do is I can say font weight. Okay, font weight. I can say um can say, so you can always as well, use this. You can say, you can make it bold, right? You can make it bold. That there are several other properties, values here, right? Bold. Okay, so, and that's bold. Okay, but I think that color is horrible with white. I don't know, but yeah. So that's how you can add, font with, add color, you can add height, you can add background color, right? So um that is, that's how you can add background color. So I believe you understand. um is there any other question? Do you understand? So the code for today's class will be in the community. Okay, the code for today's class will be in the community, and our assignment for this class is go back and practice everything that we have learned in this class. Okay, practice everything we have learned in this class, and